Imagine being a professional baseball player, standing on the mound and feeling the thrill of the game, only to have it all taken away by a devastating injury. This is exactly what happened to Grant Holmes, a pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, who was diagnosed with a partial tear of the UCL in his pitching elbow just 6 weeks ago. But here's the shocking part. Holmes is already back to throwing, and he's got a valuable advisor to thank for it, Philadelphia Phillies veteran pitcher Aaron Nola. But before we dive into the details of Holmes's remarkable recovery, let's take a step back and understand the severity of his injury. A partial tear of the UCL, or ulnar collateral ligament, is a common injury among baseball players, and it can be a career-ending condition if not treated properly. In fact, many players who suffer from this injury often require surgery, which can keep them out of the game for an entire season. However, Holmes was determined to avoid surgery, and he opted for a non-surgical rehab route instead. This decision was not taken lightly, and Holmes did his research before meeting with his doctors. He knew that some pitchers had successfully recovered from similar injuries without surgery, and he was inspired by their stories. One such pitcher was the late Hall of Famer Roy Halladay, who won his second Cy Young Award 4 years after a partial UCL tear. Another example was Masahiro Tanaka and Irvin Santana, who also made successful comebacks after suffering from similar injuries. And then there was Nola, who had a similar injury in 2016 and went on to make a full recovery without surgery. Nola's story was particularly inspiring for Holmes, who reached out to him for advice. "Got some good info from him," Holmes said. "I saw when I was doing my research that Nola had the same exact thing I did in 2016. And he was like, 'No, I'm not going to get surgery.' He rehabbed it and hasn't had a problem." Holmes added, "It was weird because his injury was around the same time of the year as mine, like 2 or 3 days later. So our thoughts on the timing and stuff was kind of on the same track. So it was nice talking to him and picking his brain." But here's where it gets controversial. Some people might argue that Holmes's decision to avoid surgery was reckless, and that he's putting his career at risk by not getting the proper treatment. However, Holmes is confident that he made the right decision, and he's already seeing positive results. During his 6 weeks without throwing, Holmes focused on plyometrics, cardio work, squats to strengthen his lower half, and on strengthening the muscles near the elbow surrounding the UCL and flexor. He was told by some pitchers and medical personnel that if every major league pitcher had an MRI of his elbow in the middle of a typical season, a large percentage would show some UCL damage. So, Holmes doesn't believe his injury is necessarily as serious as many others do when they hear tear and UCL in the same sentence. It's just about how you can strengthen those pronator muscles around it to protect it, Holmes said. Because if it didn't have that, nobody would be able to pitch. You can strengthen those muscles so it's not putting too much stress on the UCL. The muscles will take most of the hit. Holmes played catch on his first day back and will move to throwing from 60 feet on Wednesday, then to 75 feet. He's going to throw 3 times weekly for the coming weeks, ramping up the intensity. "I saw him. He was throwing against the wall the other day and then played catch," Braves manager Brian Snitker said. "So those are positive steps in his process. He says he feels great in what he's doing. Obviously, he hadn't got on the mound and torqued anything yet, but getting there, we'll see." Holmes said he already felt a difference in his arm. "Absolutely," he said. "I mean, I don't have that grab when I get to extension that I was feeling before. And range of motion is the best it's been in probably 2 or 3 years. But what about the future? Will Holmes be able to make a full recovery and return to the game without surgery? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure. He's got the support of his team and the expertise of Nola to guide him through the process. And this is the part most people miss. The mental toughness and determination that it takes to overcome an injury like this. Holmes is not just a talented pitcher, he's also a fighter, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get back on the mound. Now, let's switch gears and talk about the NL Rookie of the Year race, which is heating up between Braves catcher Baldwin and Cubs pitcher Cade Horton. Baldwin is having an incredible season, with a strong performance both offensively and defensively. However, Horton is giving him a run for his money, with an impressive 0.84 ERA in 10 starts since the All-Star break. The Braves faced Horton for the second time in a week on Tuesday, and again couldn't do much against the Oklahoman righty, who made his 20th MLB start. "I really like the assortment, and that stuff is really good," Snitker said of Horton. "He's a very impressive young guy. It's two really good candidates, Baldwin and Horton. I kind of feel like we should have a rookie pitcher of the year and a rookie player of the year. But they are two really good-looking young players. So, who do you think should win the NL Rookie of the Year award? Should it be Baldwin, with his impressive all-around performance, or Horton, with his dominant pitching? Let us know in the comments. And finally, let's ask the question on everyone's mind. Can Holmes make a successful comeback without surgery? And what does this mean for the future of baseball? The answer remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure. Holmes' story is an inspiration to us all, and a reminder that with hard work and determination, anything is possible.